Hello comrades, the Honey Badger here with yet another guide. Just setting the expectations right. I did release a vehicle industry layout guide. Therefore, everything relating to building layouts and vehicle manufacturing, scrapyard, etc. will be presented on that video. I'll leave it in the description. This video is solely dedicated to understanding vehicle age, repairing, wear and tear, and automatic replacement, with some help from Peter the developer. I highly encourage you to use timestamps in this guide. This is because the maintenance guide is the most complex guide that I've made on my channel. Therefore, I do expect it to be extremely long. Well, enough blabbering. Let's start with explaining what is the expected vehicle age firstly. The maximum age of a vehicle is the value the game uses in order to decide the repair efficiency and the amount of individual materials needed. But more on this on later topics. For now, let's see Peter's code. We can see over here that road vehicles have a max age of 20 years, trains of 50, ships of 60, airplanes of 25, and helicopters of 15. The only exception from this rule are wagons. They do not have any maintenance. However, how is age calculated? Well, the age is not when the vehicle is initially available for you to buy or for you to produce. The age is the very moment you have bought the vehicle brand new from the customs house or you have manufactured it inside the vehicle factory. At that very specific moment, the age will start increasing. Even if you don't use your vehicle at all and keep it in a vehicle storage depot, it will still accumulate age. The only way to get rid of it is to scrap or sell the vehicle and build a new one. Moreover, it doesn't matter if year in game is 2050s and you just got a Russo-Bolt fresh out of the vehicle production facility. It will still start at age 0 and will go up in age as much as it's being used. Well, with that out of the way, let's go to wear and tear. One of the most important things in regards to wear and tear is that a vehicle, once it reaches 60% wear and tear, it will start randomly breaking down. This occurrence is not frequent at 60%. However, at 100%, your vehicles will fully block the roads and stay broken until it finds a repair station or you send it to the scrapyard. It's especially funky to solve these when you got trains, I'm not gonna lie. Another effect of wear and tear is that it cuts your engine power in half. This is a 26 years old vehicle with 0% wear and tear, and the engine power we can see it's 118. That's exactly how much it costs whenever you're buying a new vehicle. As it can be seen, 0 years, 118 kilowatts. This is a 3.82 years old vehicle with 100% wear and tear, and the engine power is cut in half at 59 kilowatts. The engine power is used to accelerate the vehicle. If it's low engine power, it will accelerate very slow. This is especially important for trains that have a lot of wagons. Basically, they're gonna take a long time to kickstart after stopping at a signal. Now, when it comes to wear and tear progression, Peter mentioned in his email that it goes in a linear form, from 100% progress to 180% increase the more wear and tear the vehicle accumulates. Well, I did not quite ask for further clarifications what this means, since wear and tear progression, it's not that quite important. I also prepared a test for you guys to see. But firstly, let's understand what the percentage of wear and tear actually means. In the last topic, we did discuss about vehicle age. This actually represents the 100% wear and tear. Let me explain how this works. We have over here a vehicle of 0 years. I can use the cheat in order to add wear and tear of 1 month. I'm not going to add it 1 month, I'm gonna add it 1 year. Let's see what happens when we're reaching almost 20 years. There we go. At 20 years, the age of the vehicle, wear and tear reaches 100%. So the 100% wear and tear over here not only means 20 years, the maximum vehicle age, but it also is the number of days represented in years. So basically it's 20 times 365. Let's check other vehicles just to confirm that this is the case. Let's buy a new diesel locomotive and do the same thing, add wear and tear for 1 month. Theoretically, this one should reach somewhere around 50 years before getting to 100% wear and tear. Here we go, 50.96 years. Just as expected, the age of a train is 50 years, the wear and tear is 100%. However, how I was adding wear and tear is via cheats. Basically, I did click 50 times on a button. But during the game, this does not happen only 50 times in the entire time of the vehicle. Wear and tear is not updated within the game every single year. It's actually updated every single day. Just as I mentioned, 100% wear and tear is actually the number of days multiplied by, well, 50 in this case because we're having a train, or by 20 for a road vehicle, or by 15 for a helicopter. Let's do the helicopter too, just to prove a point. So, how does the wear and tear in-game actually gets calculated? Basically, how often it updates? Well, I did a test over here. Basically, I made a long-ass train line together with a long-ass dirt road. It doesn't matter if it's dirt or asphalt. As mentioned, it's calculated in days, not in kilometers traveled. And basically, I left the road vehicles, the trains, the helicopters, and the airplanes run willy-nilly between the Soviet border and the NATO border. Let's see the results. I have prepared quite a nice graph over here. Let's start off by explaining exactly what you see. So, the horizontal line is actually the number of years the vehicle has been running. Again, running means going from point A to point B without stopping. If in the middle you got, for example, wait until loaded commands, the vehicle will stop accumulating wear and tear until it starts going yet again. So this graph is only for vehicles that don't have wait until loaded function enabled in their lines. On the vertical line, you have the wear and tear progression from 0% up to 100%. Now, how do you read this graph? Well, the helicopter is the green line, airplane yellow, road blue, and rail red. Let's do a test over here. Let's assume that you are starting with road vehicles. And by default in the game you have 50% wear and tear. That's the moment of criticality. We can even go to 59% with absolutely no issues before stuff starts to occur in our republic. If we're gonna look a bit, 59% is roughly 5.5 years. Basically, you go from almost 60%, follow the gradient line, and then go down to see the number of years, and if you want to be extreme, count the number of months with absolutely no problems. Just by watching this graph, we'll give you a rough idea of how many years you need to wait before actually building the vehicle repair station in your republic. Moreover, I want to emphasize on something very important. Look at the start of the graph. Basically, for several months, up to 1 year and 2 months for the rail itself, your vehicles do not budge from 0% wear and tear. This is important later down the line when we're gonna discuss repairs, because if you manage to repair the vehicle to 0%, you're gonna have up to 1 year and 2 months for rail, where you don't need to worry about wear and tear accumulating. And for road vehicles, it's roughly around 8 months or so, maybe, depending on the graph over here. The next thing we're going to cover is repair efficiency. Starting off, all your vehicles can be repaired only once per year. You're not allowed to repair the vehicles more than once per year. Secondly, the older the vehicle age is, the less you're going to be able to repair your vehicle. For example, this guy over here is 12 years old and has a wear and tear of 54%. If I click the allow for repair button, you're gonna see that the wear and tear after repair is 14%. So a 12 years old road vehicle will only be able to repair 40% of its damage done. Now, what does it exactly mean, this 40%? I did mention a lot of times that wear and tear is in years. Well, the 40% over here is actually the number of years you're actually having to repair. So if we're gonna check a little bit, 20 times 0.4 is actually 8 years. So basically you're repairing 8 years worth of wear and tear. The wear and tear at 54% is actually 20 times 0.54, 10.8 years. So this vehicle has a total of 10.8 years of wear and tear, of which it is able to only repair 8 years of it. That's when the vehicle has 11.99 years, namely 12 years. Now, I did manage, after a very lengthy discussion with Peter, to obtain the piece of code that handles this. However, it's complex as fuck. I don't think you even understood what I mentioned a few seconds ago. And based on the past guides, none of you actually commented about trying to understand the code. So not enough programmers are watching this video in order to actually risk myself into angering Peter by sharing the code he has offered me in privacy over here this time. Instead, I'll show you the email where he directly stated how it works, basically the gist of it. Just to give some extra context here, he mentions 70% of the vehicle age. The age is the one that I stated at the beginning. Just for ease of access, the 70% point for road vehicles is 14 years. For rail is 45 years. For airplanes, 17.5. Helicopters, 10.5 years. And ships at 42 years. Got it? No? Well, until the vehicle reaches this point, the amount repaired is actually the year difference between the current age of the vehicle and the maximum age of the vehicle. Everything above this is simply adding extra 30%, and it goes down to 1 year. After 200% of age, for example, road vehicles at 41 years old, the repair will be defaulted at a measly 180 days. Let's do a test based on this. We know that the road vehicles is at 14 years. This vehicle that you see on the screen has 12 years of wear and tear. 20 minus 12 years is actually the 8 years that I've mentioned a minute or so ago when I said that it's gonna repair 40% of the total damage. Is it confusing? Yes? Well, imagine what would have happened if I would have shown the code Peter shared. Anyway, having the code, I managed to run it for different scenarios, and I did manage to create a graph for this too. Here it is. And let's start explaining it. Well, before starting, yes, I am aware that I did not include ships, although I did talk about them. I don't use ships, they are a gimmick. You can figure the number of years based on this. It should be similar to rail. The difference between them is just 10 years. Starting off with the horizontal line, it represents the age of the vehicle, basically the number of years since the creation of the vehicle, be it either by buying it from the customs house or building it at your vehicle industry plant. Then on the vertical line, you got the repair percentage starting from 95% for road vehicles. Well, rail has 97%, going up down to almost close 0%. Basically, if you see the line flatlining, it means that it just repairs 180 days, very close to 0%. Starting off with the yellow line, for example, for the helicopters. If we're gonna take the example of the default in-game repair percentage, namely 50%, it kind of tells us that helicopters after age 8 will be repaired a lot less than those 50% that I'm mentioning. Another example is the road vehicle. At 50%, the road vehicle can be repaired for almost 11 years in total. By year 12, it already dropped to 40%. That's a major drop in just one single year. And based on the two graphs that I've shown you, you kind of can make your own decision on how much repair percentage you want versus how old the vehicle should be before replacing and shenanigans like that. Well, let me tell you that you're wrong. Why? Well, there's more to this than what I've shown you until now. It gets even more complicated. Let's move on to explaining the repair resources you're going to need. Firstly, let's start off simple. Does the amount of individual resources differ between a young vehicle and an old vehicle? Basically, I selected the train over here because it's the most impactful from the point of view of resources needed in order to repair. The ship would have been a better candidate, but as I said, I don't play with ships. So let's compare it for a bit. Firstly, a 50-year-old vehicle, so basically at the end of the max age for rail vehicles, and a 200-year-old vehicle, which is, I think, 400% out of 50. Yeah, it's 400% of the maximum age. So we are well above the 200% that Peter mentioned. Let's see over here how many resources we're gonna need. 33 tons of steel, 5 tons of plastics, 25 tons of mechanical components, and 14 tons of electro components. This is for 100% wear and tear. Checking the 100% wear and tear on the 200-year-old vehicle, we are seeing the same exact values as before. They are completely identical. This tells us that after the maximum age of the vehicle, the amount of resources, of individual resources we are needing to repair the vehicle will not increase further. Moreover, let's check what happens if there's a difference between a younger vehicle and one that reached its max age. So again, the values for max age are these. Let's Take steel, for example, 33 tons of steel for a max age vehicle. For a new vehicle, it's 26 tons of steel. So that's a total of 7 tons of steel difference between a new vehicle at 100% wear and tear and an old vehicle at 100% wear and tear. So there is some money saving being done over here if you decide to maintain your vehicles and then scrap them once they reach a certain age. Taking into consideration that steel costs 487 rubles to buy, this means that you're going to save around 3000 rubles on fixing this vehicle if you're gonna have young vehicles when you are repairing them. It doesn't seem like much, but when you combine all of the resources together and also have multiple vehicles running at the same time, this adds up to a very high cost. Now, this is the very first part of repairing vehicles. Let's check the second part of repairing vehicles. Now, let's check how the resources are added on top of each other, each repair percentage. Let's see. If we're gonna add a single year at 1% repair, you're going to notice that it states that it's too low to repair. But let's add a bit more to get to 5%. You're going to notice that right now at 5%, it uses workers and mechanical components. Based on Peter's email, it will always use mechanical components and workforce to fix any vehicle. Now, when we're gonna get close to 20%, there we go, 19%, still using only workers and mechanical components. Now, when we got above 20%, steel gets into the mix. So now you're going to need steel for your locomotives, vessels, and road vehicles to repair them. In case of airplanes, the steel is replaced with aluminum. Now what happens at 30%? We see 29% still steel and mechanical components together with workforce. At 30%, electronic components are added to the mix. So if you're repairing your vehicles at 30%, you're also going to need electro components. Then at 40% is the next breakpoint. 39%, the same amount of stuff. At 40%, it will add the fabric and the plastics too. Now, theoretically, the most expensive thing you're going to have in your republic is the electronic components. The steel isn't that expensive, mechanical components, it's already made from steel, pretty fine, but the electro components are extremely expensive. So cutting down on the electro components, it's a great idea. Therefore, you can actually set your repair value to lower than 30%, maybe somewhere around 28 or 29% if you're feeling extremely frisky. This will cut down on the number of resources. If you're going above 30% in repair, you might as well go above 40% anyway, because the amount of plastics and the rest of resources that are needed, like fabric over here, is extremely low, and they are extremely cheap compared to electro components. Therefore, you can go to 50 or 59% with absolutely no problem. However, based on what I've shown you until now, it's better to go 28, 29% or so for all of your vehicles. Or, even better, go with 18 or 19% instead. This way, you're going to only use mechanical components and workforce. Sadly, in this scenario, you're going to repair the vehicles more frequent, So you're going to need more vehicle repair stations together with more stuff. There is a trade-off between the cost of steel, if you're gonna set it at 28-29%, versus the cost of getting the citizens to the vehicle repair station. It's a decision you can take yourself. Let's go back a bit to the original graph of wear and tear progression. This is not affected at all by the age of the vehicle. You're going to always have these values over here. Meaning that if you set your repair percentage at 20%, you're gonna be expected to repair helicopters every almost 1 year, the airplanes every 2 years, road vehicles somewhere around 2.5 years, and rail somewhere around 3.5 years. Moreover, why it's important to keep the vehicle as much as possible at 0% wear and tear, it's actually because it takes a long time to jump from 0% to 1%. To make this more obvious, let's take as an example the rail. The rail takes 2 years and 3 months to reach from 0% to 10%. However, between 10% and 20%, it takes around 1 full year. So the value of repairing the vehicles as soon as possible is quite a lot. Yes, you're going to have more diminishing results if you were going to compare the 20% mark. So it takes around 3 years and 4 or 5 months based on the graph, versus how much time it takes between 20 and 40% to reach, which is actually 2 years and a little bit more. So it's a little bit more diminishing, but I don't recommend setting your repair threshold at 10%. It's slightly a bit too overkill, but it might work. Who knows? I haven't tested it in realistic mode to see the outcome. Let's now discuss how often you should replace vehicles based on the repair percentage. If you're targeting 18 or 19%, then you're gonna need to replace your vehicles every 19 years for helicopters, every 25 years for road vehicles, every 30 years for airplanes, and every 58 years for rail. Yes, you can overcomplicate stuff and go a bit higher in age, because to reach the 20% mark of a road vehicle, for example, it takes 2.5 years. Therefore, you could theoretically go with repairing the vehicle every year at 10% each year. This pushes the age of the road vehicles to 32 years old. But by repairing the vehicles every 10%, you're also going to have a bad time handling the materials, since you're gonna fix the vehicles each year instead of 2.5 years. Moreover, the resources you're gonna need over here is only the mechanical components. Therefore, theoretically, it wouldn't be that high of a cost increase. Let's also cover the scenario of repairing the vehicles at 28-29% wear and tear. Over here, you're gonna need to replace the vehicles at 11 years for helicopters, 15 for road, 19 for airplanes, and 36 years for railroad. The advantage of using 28-29% is that you're going to need to repair your vehicles a little bit less often, because for road vehicles, for example, you're gonna need to repair them every 3.5 years. Apart from this, the steel cost kind of balances things out. I haven't properly tested if the cost matters or not between the two scenarios. Moreover, because the vehicles are replaced more early, it means that you're not going to use as many resources to repair the vehicles in the last years. Also, you can go crazy. You can have 18-19% at repairing wear and tear, and then go with the values that I've set for 30%. No one stops you. Moreover, you're also getting resources back once you start scrapping vehicles. With the theoretical knowledge out of the way, let's actually see some practical examples. Starting off with how to set your vehicle maintenance/repair percentage. You're gonna need to go to list of vehicles and buildings, and then I want you to pay close attention to what this button says. Set value to all selected vehicles. What does this mean? Well, simply put, you're gonna need to play around with this UI a lot of times during your playthroughs, because every single vehicle that you are buying, every single vehicle that you're producing, all come with the default 50% repair. If you want the 19% that we have mentioned beforehand, you're going to need to go and set it manually. Moreover, let's go a bit further, let's say around here, where I only see 2 vehicles in the list. If I'm gonna set it to 19 over here, only these 2 vehicles are affected. If I go a bit more, I can see yet again the 50 and 60%. So make sure when you are setting the repair of vehicles, check out the entire map and simply sort by repair. You're gonna notice our 2 vehicles that we placed previously 19%, and now we can place for everything at 19% because we clicked the entire map. By the way, this is the list of only road vehicles. You're going to need to do the same for trains, for ships, for airplanes, and for helicopters. Moreover, there's a very special gimmick when it comes to the repairability of trains. Basically, when repairing trains, usually if you don't send them to a main train depot, which most likely you won't send them because you really want things to be fully automated and working out of the box, you're most likely going to send it to the railway end station. We're gonna discuss a bit later about this, but the train repair here needs to be set as low as possible. The lowest value you can go is 10%. Reasoning being is that when trains, and we're gonna see this once we cover that, trains will only repair up to the repair value that is set in here, and then continue off delivering cargo and other shenanigans with absolutely no problems. Is it a bug? Is it intended? I'm not sure. I'm just here to deliver the message. Let's continue on with the next thing. Now let's discuss the vehicle repair station a bit. In here, you're gonna have multiple vehicle repair stations. Which one to pick, it's your own decision to make. But I do recommend going for medium and large ones. Ignore the small ones. The reasoning is that they have a very little amount of workers and you're gonna have a bad time repairing the vehicles very slow. The more workers, the better. The large one consumes a lot of workers at the same time, but it might be better for the 18 to 19% mark that we've discussed. The way how vehicle repair stations work is that they have a very small area around it. If you see the orange lines, let's see, on the water it's more visible. The orange lines represent the area where the repair station will automatically repair vehicles without the need of the delivery vans to exit the area. So we can place it nearby our depots. So for example, here I have a technical services together with a delivery office. I can place it somewhere around here, and then the vehicle repair station will be able to fix all of the vehicles within these 2 buildings without sending any vehicles to the said buildings. If not, the vehicles that you're gonna buy for the vehicle repair station will go directly to the area. So for example, buying some cover tools, here they will be automatically sent whenever a vehicle reaches a certain wear and tear. Let's test it out here and see what happens by forcing this garbage truck to be a little bit wear and tear. There we go. Now we're gonna see the road vehicle going automatically to the waste truck in order to be repaired. The vehicle itself in large buildings will use the loading spots that the building has itself in order to park it. When it comes to free things, for example the road vehicle depot over here, it will block the entire road vehicle depot because it doesn't have any type of loading space. Continuing with explaining the repair station, you have these checkboxes here. Allow repair cancel when long idle. This usually happens when you don't have workers in your repair station, and also when you don't have the required materials in order to repair said vehicle. The next button is repair in buildings, vehicles on lines. Basically, this allows for vehicles that have custom lines. For example, if you have like the custom line set to deliver garbage to the border instead of having a distribution office, this allow repair in building will force the said garbage truck to path to the vehicle repair station, get repaired over there, and then continue on its duty to deliver garbage or whatever task you have placed in it. Then you got the office working range. You can increase this to 3.5 kilometers with absolutely no problems. Then you have the maximum number of workers per vehicle. The number of vehicles repaired in parallel is usually equal to the number of workers you have. You can use the maximum amount of workers in order to repair each vehicle, which in turn means that if you have the queue long enough here, it will take some time to repair. But I never played with this value, it doesn't quite matter. The next one is allowed vehicle types. Here, usually I have dedicated repair stations for helicopters and planes and dedicated repair stations for everything else. The reasoning for it is quite simple. Let's see a bit the wear and tear of helicopters and airplanes. I'm just gonna use the airplane as an example since the helicopter is identical. Let's increase a bit the wear and tear of this vehicle. This should be fine. Now if we're gonna check allow for repair over here, we're gonna see that it uses electronics in order to repair it together with aluminum. If we're gonna check a vehicle, we're going to see that it doesn't use any electronics or aluminum. Similarly, for trains, it doesn't use electronics or aluminum, and the same happens with ships. Therefore, there's absolutely no reason for you to start importing electronics and aluminum in your vehicle repair station if you don't have any aviation vehicles around your republic. Moreover, because we have set our repair to 19%, that means that at most we're gonna use mechanical components and maybe steel in very special scenarios. Therefore, you can increase the amount of electrical components in your vehicle repair stations together with setting 100% directly on the steel storage. You're not going to need at all aluminum. The warehouse import for other things like plastics, electro components, electronics and fabric, I do recommend to leave a very small amount in it because you'll never know if you forget to replace a vehicle after a certain age or forget to produce it so it's automatically replaced. Or even worse, you forget to set the 19% that we discussed until now in the vehicle list. This will cover your ass in that specific scenario. Let's now cover the gimmicks of the repair station. For example, I have over here a single repair station and I have vehicles at 100% wear and tear. Once they reach 100% wear and tear, they can no longer be repaired. Yes, they're gonna go to the repair station, but they're gonna sit idle here and they will never be repaired. Let's check this out really fast. There we go. We do have workers here, but currently nothing to repair. These two vehicles will never be repaired. You're gonna need to send them directly to the scrapyard. Let's build a scrapyard just to show it. Well, of course, you're gonna need waste and demolition in order to be able to build the scrapyard. So let's enable that. And now let's place down the scrapyard. Now the 100% vehicles, you can set the scrapyard as the location where they need to go in order to be scrapped, and they're gonna go with absolutely no problems if they're not going to break down in the middle of the road. Now when it comes to helicopters and airplanes, it's a bit more complicated. Basically, these helicopters and airplanes will not be able to be repaired unless they have either a helicopter pad where you're gonna need to actually send the helicopter manually over here, and also the airport terminal needs to have a repair station nearby. So for example, I've created over here an airport road connection that goes directly to the airport terminals. These vehicles from the vehicle repair station will not budge at all, even if the helicopter over here has 60% wear and tear. If you're gonna do for a searching for a repair station, it will not find any repair station nearby with a helicopter pad in range of it. So you got two options. The first one is to actually build a heliport directly nearby the repair station, and the helicopter should come and land over here in order to be repaired. As you can see, this helicopter is being repaired over here. Okay, but you might be wondering, what happens to airplanes? Well, sadly, you're gonna need to do the same. Basically, you're going to need an airplane parking area connected directly to a vehicle repair station. Or if you want an easier way out without building these said things, let's cancel the helicopter for a moment and build a new one from scratch directly in the terminal. And we are back at the scenario where the helicopter can never be repaired. In order to repair it, what you can do is actually have around here a small vehicle repair station. Let's put one right here. Now, by setting up workers here, the helicopter will be automatically repaired once it comes back from the border. Here we go. Repair is in progress over here. It's waiting for repair. It should be repaired to 3% because this is the age of the vehicles. Basically, it's more than half past. Now, when it comes to trains, there's another gimmick in regards to trains. If you got a train that has a huge wear and tear, for example, let's set this guy up and set it to 10%. If it's in a depot just like this, then the vehicle repair station will send a road vehicle in order to repair said train. However, it cannot send a worker to the railway end station. So when you're planning your trips for the train, make sure to add a railway end station at the end of the line or in the middle, wherever it makes sense. Afterwards, your train will be able to go between borders without any problems and also be repaired in the meantime. One more thing I want to add, let's prepare the test. Firstly, in regards to the end station for railway, it doesn't matter if you have a huge ass train to the maximum length, 441 meters, for example, in this scenario. The train can fit inside the end station with absolutely no problems. It is quite wide enough to fit all of the train. I guess that's what she said. Afterwards, the train will move on to the next place that is being set. Of course, because we did not put signaling, this doesn't work properly. Let's signal everything okay. And now we will be fine. But this is how end stations for trains work. They fit all of the train, no matter the length of it. Now, when it comes to repairing, yet again, if the vehicle has a lot of wear and tear, let's set some wear and tear here. There we go. And let's set it to 19, the value that we discussed. Let's check this gimmick out, what will happen. Basically, this train will continue moving normally and will never be repaired, even if we're gonna force the repair. This is because nowhere in his line there is an end station that has a vehicle repair station attached to it. So in order to fix this problem, we're going to need to build a vehicle repair station nearby our railway end station. Let's do just that right now. And let's wait for the bus to bring workers here. Now, since we have workers over here, the vehicle, the train, is now currently repaired. Check what happens with its wear and tear. It will slowly go down below the 90% we've set over here, but it will never go to 0%. Basically, if you really want the train to be fully repaired to the maximum possible value, over here you're going to need to set it to as low as possible. Let's see, when does the train decide to leave the station? And here we go. The train finally decided to leave the station with still 16% wear and tear. Now, because the condition says below 19%, this train will no longer be repaired up until he will have the 19 required percent yet again. And of course, when it comes to ships, it's the same exact scenario. This map sadly does not have any lakes around, so we're not going to be able to see this. But for ships, simply put a repair station nearby your dock and it will work without absolutely no problems. Moving on to the next topic, namely automatic replacement of vehicles. For now, I want to take a break and state that I do have a challenge going on with another YouTuber. Serious check. Basically, we're playing the same exact map, Prague Industrialized, with very different playstyles. The only downside is that he has both a Czech channel and a English channel. I'll leave both of them in the description. Feel free to check out his videos also, since he's an awesome creator too. Apart from this, the Prague Industrialized series will focus just on building everything based on the guides that I've made until now. So if you want to see all the theoretical knowledge that I've taught you until now from all of my videos, make sure to check the series out. I'll leave a link in the description. Now, coming to vehicle replacements. In order to replace vehicles, you can go over here at automatic vehicle replacement. When it comes to vehicle replacing, it's a little bit different than the list vehicles and buildings. What you're gonna set over here is completely permanent. Let's start with the automatic replacement, because most likely for you, the automatic replacement will be completely off. You can turn it on using this button over here. Then you got method of replacement from depot, from vehicle storage, or purchase new. The purchase new, basically it buys a totally new vehicle if it's still available at the closest customs house. Because it's a realistic mode in this series, I'm not going to enable this one. Moreover, method of replacement is also important. From depot or from vehicle storage. It's perfectly fine to have both of them enabled with absolutely no problems. Now, when it comes to replacement conditions here, you can set them up from here. What I recommend is to set wear and tear to 0%. This assures that the vehicles will be replaced in time. Also, set up the vehicle age from here. Basically, as we discussed, road vehicles can be replaced every 32 years if you're planning to waste resources on actually maintaining the vehicles that long. However, we're gonna set it to the 70% mark that we have discovered based on Peter's code. So I'm going to set the vehicle age to be replaced as 14 years. Now, the next thing is list of used types. Basically, this over here will display all of the vehicle types and the number of vehicles you got in your Republic, together with the oldest vehicle possible in here. Let's just focus a bit on this. Actually, let's focus on this one, GAZ AA55. We have a vehicle here. Let's, for experimental purposes, make this vehicle wear and tear and age quite huge. There we go. We are now above the limit that we've set over here. Another option that I did not mention is send to scrapyard. Because I'm playing realistic and with the hardest settings, waste and demolition is enabled and I do have access to the scrapping facility. If you don't understand the layout over here, simply watch my vehicle industry layout guide. You're gonna fully understand it afterwards. Anyway, we have a 17-year-old GAZ AA55 here, and we did not produce any new GAZ AA vehicle. What do you expect it will happen in this scenario? We do have automatic replacement on, we do have purchase new enabled, and this vehicle will not budge from here. Therefore, let's try something out. Let's actually buy the blueprint, build one, and see what happens once the vehicle is being built. There we go, the vehicle got built over here. Now let's wait and check what happens. Well, currently this vehicle is waiting for repair. It looks like it will be repaired by our repairing office. This is why it's important to set to the wear and tear to 0% as a replacement condition, or else your vehicles might continue working and never reach the desired repair wear and tear. Yes, it is wasteful. Yes, there's a more advanced way to do it by actually placing it as a as lower than the amount you're setting over here, but it will be safer just to set it to 0% and forget about it completely. Now this vehicle, since it's well above its maintenance time, basically the 14 years, that we did set as an example over here. Now he is going to the scrapping facility. In the meantime, at the same time, there will be this guy over here that will come out of the road vehicle in order to go towards the hospital. Editor me here, it will never go to the hospital because another vehicle already went there. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, it seems for the hospital one, it got automatically teleported over here. I don't know if it's because I used the cheats commands or not. No, it was pure stupidity. Editor me again. Sorry for interrupting. Another thing we're gonna need to cover. What happens if you upgrade the vehicles? For example, you are sick of this YAS vehicle and you want to replace it with something else. Or you want, here's a good example. You got these Russo bolts here that you know are no longer useful. You want to replace them with YAG opens instead. So just click on the vehicle and then click on the replacement. Now all of these Russo bolts will be automatically replaced with YAG open. You also have over here a button called replace oldest vehicle. If we're gonna check this Russo bolt, let's see where he is. In here, in the construction office. Basically, this Russo bolt, when we're gonna click the replace oldest vehicle, he will be sold directly to the border instead of going to the scrapyard. Or actually, it will work properly with absolutely no problems. I'm amazed about it. Editor me yet again. Seems like Peter actually fixed this bug. In the past, when you were clicking that button, it was automatically sold to the customs house. This time it works properly. Wow. And in parallel, we're gonna have a YAG open vehicle incoming to the construction office, as we can see over here. This is identical for ships, airplanes, and helicopters. However, when it comes to trains, replacing trains does not work properly at all. You're going to need to manually replace every single train that you have, sadly. I did not manage to find any possible way to replace the trains without having any hiccups or problems. The last topic we're going to discuss is wear and tear on buildings. Yes, buildings also accumulate wear and tear. For normal residential buildings, these usually happen that they need only either bricks or prefab panels together with some steel at low wear and tear. At higher wear and tear, you're gonna need also asphalt, concrete, and other shenanigans. The industrial buildings have a special thing extra. Basically, they also have the wear and tear of the machines. As years pass, the machines will wear and tear and your production will decrease. Basically, the production will no longer be 100%, it will be slightly lower. For that, you're going to need to reconstruct the said machines and also reconstruct the building once the wear and tear is quite high. In order to do that, you have access to the following construction office. Basically, simply build a normal 6 construction office wherever you want. After it's being built, simply buy a bus, a open hull, a covered hull, a dumper to deliver the asphalt and gravel needed, a road crane just to speed up the constructions faster, and a concrete mixer in order to deliver the concrete. Basically, this can only be a dedicated construction office that only handles the reconstruction of buildings. You can do the auto search here, 3.5 kilometers. You can also allow it to only reconstruct and machines replacement. Everything else can be unticked over here just to make sure that these vehicles do not do also regular buildings. Because if they're gonna do regular buildings, you're gonna wake up in a scenario where they're too busy building shenanigans instead of going and replacing the machines or reconstructing the said buildings. Now, I didn't want to go further in explaining how buildings are affected and what materials you're going to need to rebuild the buildings, because usually it does not matter that much. You're going to have earthquakes, you're going to have fires that will simply throw your buildings off. Also, you got this button over here, reconstruction, which you can see the progress of said reconstruction. Over here, as we can see, the reconstruction is in progress and it's assigned only to 2 construction offices. Soon, if I will unpause the game, it will also be assigned to the construction offices that we just built, or multiple ones depending on how many we have in our republic. But as we can see over here, this reconstruction at wear and tear 50% only needs bricks, boards and steel. The resources will change depending on the building. This building did not require prefab panels. And similar thing will happen to machines. As we can see, the productivity of this building is set to 70% while it is being reconstructed. So be careful of that. And that's kind of all I had to present about the maintenance guide. Well, thanks for watching. Thank you for my channel supporters over here, which are currently donating to the channel. And if you think I missed something, please post it down in the comment. I'll have a pinned comment where I'll copy paste your comment and give you credits for it. Well, enough blabbering. I'm the Honey Badger and I'm out. But firstly, let's pula mea. But firstly, let's But firstly, let's understand what wear and tear percentage actually means. Let's just repeat the test and see it in action over here. Basically, this one is the last one. Let's make his wear and tear again huge and see what happens to it. Did I demolish accidentally a building? Whoops. Okay, I did demolish accidentally a building. Let's ignore that for now and do this one instead.